Rockstar Spud will always do what is right. Remember that key sentence because that was the final sentence that closed TNA Lockdown. And yes, it's Delzinski here, and I'm going to give my review of TNA Lockdown right here, right now. Now, first and foremost, I just want to touch on this because, yes, the review is a little bit late, but I actually saw this show live at Wembley Arena. And when I saw it, it was really hard to get into the lockdown event as a pay-per-view. And I'm going to touch on that in terms of how it transitioned onto TV because, when I was there, they had this being taped, lockdown, they had Impact shows being taped as well, and they had one night only shows being taped all in the same night. It felt very fragmented, very disjointed, and I couldn't really get into the lockdown pay-per-view. Now, I always thought it would transition okay into TV once they put the editing in, and it did. It looked good. But one thing that stood out like a sore thumb, this is Lockdown. This is TNA Lockdown. The six sides of steel are in every single match, and the branding, apart from the cage being around the ring, was exactly the same. This was just basically an enhanced version of Impact, and this is such an annoyance for me. It's a real bugbearer. When TNA have a pay-per-view, dress it up like it's a pay-per-view. Change the apron. The apron just said Impact Wrestling on it. I think actually the video screen did say Lockdown, but you didn't get to see that much. So as far as you're concerned, the way you look at it, this is just another episode of Impact, but they dressed it up like a Lockdown. This was not the feeling of a huge pay-per-view. And it did, from my point of view, it did the show an injustice because this was a fairly good pay-per-view. I feel it shows that TNA is moving in the complete right direction. But just to not have, that look. And, look, if I can actually be asked to, dress up my thumbnails better for the lockdown pay-per-view than a regular Impact, then surely TNA, being, a national show, could actually do that themselves as well. They could, put the effort in and get the artwork done to design the arena to make it look a little bit different. I'm not saying change the whole structure of the ramp, the stage, and everything like that, but just rejig the apron, the turnbuckle pads, and just have the lockdown logo around the arena instead of just Impact Wrestling. Make it look different, make it feel special, make it feel like a big event. And that was something that was really lacking considering they had a jam-packed crowd. It wasn't jam-packed, but it was pretty damn busy at Wembley Arena. And I was there, of course. Now, the other quick thing I want to touch on before I get into the review itself is one issue is the audio. The crowd were pretty loud when I was there, but it didn't transition as much onto TV. It did in some elements. For example, EC3's entrance, you could definitely feel that. But TNA have this tendency to tinker with the audio quite a lot, and big cheers, big chants were kind of phased out because they had edited in music, they had edited in cheering, they had put things in there that weren't there at the time. Just let the show be a bit more natural. Stop trying to, paper over the cracks, put some cosmetics over it. It's not needed. Let it be natural. Let it be organic, the way that the fans feel about things. Yes, there might be quiet patches, but so what? And don't keep putting in edited music. For example, with Maria coming out in the Lethal Lockdown match with the Knockouts, they edited her Miracle music in when she came out on the night without any music. That was fine. Just leave it as it is. Instead, they did that. It didn't sound right to me. Bugbearers of mine. It's the production bit that TNA seemed to fail in quite a lot. However, there were some positives as well. And what we're going to talk about now is a quick rundown of the matches and, of course, the big main event. Now, the first match that kicked things off was Beer Money versus Eric Young and Bram. And this was almost a bit like a grudge match. It was kind of obvious and really predictable who was going to win this one. I don't think there was any question of a doubt that Beer Money were gonna walk out without being the victors on the night. It was kind of interesting the way they did it though, and I quite liked the way they did it, the way they sectioned out James Storm, being caught out on the outside, the cage door closing, that kept him out of play for quite some time, which allowed Eric Young and Bram to really do the damage, do some work on Bobby Roode. That was cool. It was good to see James Storm eventually get in, and then obviously we had the finish. Now, it was an all right start. I feel that this really is the end, and I hope it is the end of Beer Money versus Eric Young and Bram, because to be honest with you, I really just want to see Beer Money going up against the walls. I want to kind of push that forward now. They have got that Feast or Fire briefcase for a tag team title shot. So if we could hurry that along a little bit and maybe get some sort of best of 3 series going on, build the tag team division around that, that would be awesome. And plus, Eric Young, as far as I remember, because he hasn't really done too much with it, he's still the King of the Mountain, yes, the awful King of the Mountain title champion. And we've got someone like Eli Drake who's carrying that briefcase around. I'm pretty sure there's something coming off with Grado with Eli Drake as well, but we'll wait and see. But yeah, we need to kind of open the door for Eric Young to defend that King of the Mountain belt, give it more purpose, give it some meaning. So yes, if Eric Young moves away, maybe Bram could turn on him. Would that work? Not sure. Let me know via the comment section below. But yes, Beer Money, it was an obvious one to predict. There was no way Beer Money was going to lose that match. Now, next up, before we move on to the next match, we had a quick EC3 promo. He came out to the ring. It was deafening for EC3. It was on the night anyway. It might not have transitioned into the TV show, but it was pretty deafening to see EC3 out there. He was definitely over, and it proves that the whole, double switch, double change with Matt Hardy turning heel and EC3 going face has worked perfectly. Now, a pretty cool line was, I think he said that, Matt Hardy had humiliated him. He'd taken everything away from him, and then he spat in his face, and he even could have given him Hepatitis Hardy, which was pretty damn funny, to be honest with you. Hepatitis Hardy. That really should have been a chant, but we just didn't pick up on it at the time. Now, this was just a blatant build to what was going to unfold later on in the evening, because this brought out Rockstar Spud. And as I said at the start of this review, the key line was Rockstar Spud. He will always do what is right. And it's almost like what you'll do is best for business. And, Rockstar Spud at this time, you're thinking he will always do what is right because he's a goody two shoes. And, he has been EC3's friend. Then he got, disconnected from EC3, but he's still loyal. He's like a lost dog. That's what I always feel that Rockstar Spud has been. And I kind of haven't liked what Rockstar Spud has become. I've always preferred the heel Rockstar Spud. So for me, it was like, oh no, sappy old Rockstar Spud. He's going to be in the corner of EC3. He's going to come and help him. But wow, was I wrong. So this was a good move because this planted the seed for something that was going to happen later on. Again, TNA doing a fantastic job with the storytelling of the whole feud and the development of EC3 turning face and Matt Hardy turning heel. Good stuff, TNA. Now, on to the X Division title match. Trevor Lee with Gregory Shane Helms, and his opponent was Tigre Uno. And there's quite a lot of emphasis at the moment with Trevor Lee that he's changing the X Division. Not sure what that means at the moment. I like my X Division to be high flying and, shit going on all over the place. And Trevor Lee doesn't really give me that, but Trevor Lee has got that devastating finishing move. I love seeing him hit that. And I think Trevor Lee is quite a good guy to build around, but he needs a bit more personality. And the Gregory Shane Helms thing works. They keep, touting that Gregory Shane Helms is indeed, the longest reigning cruiserweight champion of all time. They keep pushing that, but they need to do something that kind of helps Trevor Lee come forward a bit. He just kind of looks a bit standard at the moment. There's nothing else to him. He's a good in-ring performer, but not much else. Tigre Uno obviously was chasing his X Division championship back, but he didn't get the job done. The Cradle, I'm not sure what it's called actually. Let me know by the comment section in the section below the name of Trevor Lee's finisher. It's awesome, that finisher. I had it before we started the review, but it's gone. But yeah, Trevor Lee's finisher nailed it once again, got him the victory. Some good spots in this match. We saw Tigre Uno fly off the top of the cage, which was good. Quite decent use of the cage per match as well, which was good in the lockdown matches, because sometimes, you have these matches and they don't utilize the cage enough, but the 6 side of steel was utilized in this one. And, I didn't expect, again, Tigre Uno to recapture the gold. I think the story is about Trevor Lee at the moment. So the focus was on Trevor Lee, and Trevor Lee got the victory. It's good, but I want to see what's going on with Trevor Lee. There needs to be more, but I want to see how it unfolds, because with Trevor Lee, if he's changing the X Division, what does that mean? I want my high flyers. I want people flying around the ring. I want to see some stuff that's different. I want it to go back how it was before. Trevor Lee, I'm hoping, can be the first person to really build a division. We need it back how it was before. Now, moving on. Lethal Lockdown. Bizarrely, the first ever Knockouts Lethal Lockdown. The Beautiful People versus the Dollhouse. And earlier on in the evening, Madison Rayne was taken out by someone unknown. We don't know what happened. I gather the Dollhouse got their hands on him. But, she'd done her knee in or something like that. She wasn't going to be in the match. So it left it as the Beautiful People, Gail Kim, to take on the Dollhouse. And obviously now the Dollhouse had the advantage. Now, this match was a bit screwy because, in outside of storyline, Awesome Kong, I imagine, would have been involved in this match. But she got sent home from the Impact Tour because of issues that she had with Reby Sky. And that kind of threw this match into a bit of jeopardy. And what were they going to actually do? Well, TNA countered this by bringing out Maria. And we'd already seen Maria and Gail Kim cross paths in a previous Impact. And again, Maria basically coming out to almost look like she was going to aid Gail Kim's team, but she didn't. She stitched them up. She stitched them over. And that then led, to the payoff, really, where the Dollhouse got the victory. Now, that was good. It was okay. But I'm completely done with the Dollhouse versus the Beautiful People versus Gail Kim. The Knockouts division needs some serious investment, some serious time put into it. If Maria's the person to do that by picking up a feud with Gail Kim, good stuff. But there's not much more we can. There's not much more we can really take of the Dollhouse versus the Beautiful People. Lethal Lockdown. It was actually pretty awesome to see. The women get an opportunity to swing a few kendo sticks, swing chairs around, and the package pile driver on the chair to Gail Kim, which Jay delivered, was just sublime. What a finish, and what a way to make your knockouts look strong by letting them be in this environment. That's cool, but we need a lot more knockouts in the division. You can't just keep on having the Dollhouse versus the Beautiful People with Gail Kim in the mix week after week. It gets boring. So I'm hoping, again, that this is almost the end. We can draw a line under the feud, much like Beer Money and Eric Young and Bram. Draw a line on it and push on and kick on to bigger and better things. This was a good start, a good beginning. TNA, like I said, are sort of re-establishing themselves, and these were good feuds to do that. Now, just before we move on to the next match, I want to talk about Kurt Angle, because Kurt Angle did come out. It's his farewell tour. He's facing Bobby Roode next week, but Lashley sounds like he's going to be his final opponent, and Lashley kind of hinting at a bit of jealousy here towards Kurt Angle, because Kurt Angle came out and talked about, winning the world title the year before in the UK. I was there. It was amazing. It was awesome. It was a fantastic match between Angle and Lashley. He came out and talked about this. And, again, TNA doing a fantastic job of backtracking and going over old storylines to make them work now. Somebody finally gets it backstage that, things need to make sense. You can't just book things randomly. And although sometimes that works because people get excited, Shane McMahon versus The Undertaker, other times consistency and storylines are much better. And I prefer it when we've got consistency, and TNA are working hard to almost make old ends that didn't work now begin to tie together. So TNA going back and looking at Lashley losing his world championship to now feel a little bit aggrieved that Kurt Angle came out and almost said that he had one of his best nights ever here at Wembley Arena was a cool thing to do. And it generated heat for Lashley because of the situation that he was in. And it now makes you interested in seeing Angle versus Lashley one more time. Really, really pleased with the way that TNA are planning out their storylines. And the main event, when I talk about it, will emphasize that. So I want to make sure I wrap up this review in around about 20 minutes. So we're going to move on. And let's talk about O'Dog versus Eli Drake. Yes, O'Dog, everybody knows who it is. It is indeed Grado. And in this match at Lockdown, it was almost like a comedy match to kind of be a bit lighthearted, and then we would move into the main event. And it served a purpose. But I have to be honest with you, I don't think the execution of the whole O'Dog Grado transition to O'Dog has really worked very well. It's been a bit poor. I mean, I like Grado. I find him entertaining, but you know, it's done very cheaply. They didn't even really bother to do the music, and you know, he come out on the night when I was there watching it live. He come out to his Madonna theme, which of course is Grado's theme for ICW, but he's got this horrible dubbed music, and I think they just plonked a couple of "oh dogs" on the music. And I know it's supposed to be blatantly obvious. Everyone's supposed to know that's Grado under the mask, but it's just a bit meh. Now, the only thing that I really found entertaining about this is the fact that there is a bit of storyline to it. Something has got to give, because Grado's been banging on now for for a few weeks since Feast or Fired that Eli Drake screwed him over. But how did he screw over Grado? Did he switch the briefcases around so Grado got the Fired briefcase and Eli Drake got the King of the Mountain briefcase? We just don't know. Now, on the night, O'Dog got the victory because Eli Drake was trying to pull his mask off once again, and that allowed O'Dog Grado to drop to the floor and get the win. But however, later on, once again, because Grado had been unmasked, he was then escorted out of the arena, and we had to wave goodbye to Grado one more time. So as far as we know, Grado's gone once again. I'm sure he's going to reinvent himself or do something even more bizarre in the coming weeks. But I just want to know what that payoff will be. I'm intrigued. How did Eli Drake do it? That's the bit that keeps me interested. But in terms of execution, this has just been very cheap. And okay, yes, it got the cheap pops on the night for the Wembley crowd. I kind of still would have preferred to just see standard Grado instead of O'Dog, but there you go. Anyway, I wanted to brush on that match because I wanted to get talking about the main event, and I wanted to give it a fair bit of time. And yeah, I thought, I did complain at the beginning of this review about the way that TNA produce Lockdown. It didn't feel like a lockdown, but the way that they produced the main event, although it didn't feel like a lockdown, it still felt like an episode of Impact. It did feel like it had a big fight feel. They showed EC3, walking backstage, coming out. The crowd was electric. The whole crowd was doing the trouble, trouble, trouble chants and the whoa, all that stuff. I'm not going to go into it too much, but it was electric at Wembley Arena for him. And it just proved, like I said before, that EC3 is over with the fans. And that was the whole purpose of this double switch. Now, they went backstage when Matt Hardy came out. You could hear the crowd. So, they finally fixed the audio. You could hear them chanting for EC3. And, Josh Matthews putting emphasis on the fact that, just listen to this crowd. Listen to everybody being on the side of EC3 and, trying to mount some pressure on Matt Hardy and saying that Matt Hardy is doubting that he can beat EC3 fair and square. And, that's what's kind of cool. They keep planting little seeds here and there. And then all of a sudden they come together and they work perfectly. And they did again in this match, because during this match, when Matt Hardy started to doubt himself, he'd hit a twist of fate, it didn't work. He then calls on some help from Tyrus. When Tyrus hits the ring, Tyrus fails to put down EC3. Then he looks for his next option, and his next option is Rebby Sky. She comes out with a hammer to try and put away EC3. But this was the point of the match where Rockstar Spud shocked the world. And I'm kind of glad he did, to be honest with you, because, like I said, I'm bored of the goody two-shoes Rockstar Spud. I want to see Rockstar Spud be what he is, a rock star. I want that heel Rockstar Spud to come back. And yes, I was shocked on the night that it happened, but Rockstar Spud slammed the cage door shut on EC3 and allowed Matt Hardy to escape the cage. Again, in the way this was done, perfect storyline telling, because once again, EC3 still not been pinned. Still not been pinned. But someone else, sticking the dagger in the back of Ethan Carter. And in a way, you can see why they do it. He kind of deserves it. He kind of does deserve it, because you look at the way he treated Rockstar Spud. And I mean, a year ago, he battered Rockstar Spud. He left him a bloody mess, and he shaved his head as well. He was a bastard to him. So Spud kind of deserves that payback. You look at Tyrus. He belittled Tyrus constantly, although Tyrus always used to save his bacon. No one wants to be friends with EC3 anymore. And it all makes sense. Going back and looking how he treated Spud coming out and saying, I will always do what is right. Well, to be fair on him, it was the right thing to do, because he deserved that retribution on EC3. But once again, it makes you feel for EC3. It's like, how on earth did it go from being, champion, surrounding yourself with people who will protect you, and now you've just got nobody? It's just great to see the way that they've done this. And all the time, Matt Hardy, he low blowed EC3 in the match when he was getting desperate as well. He just has to cheat to find a way to get past EC3, because he knows if he played fair and square, EC3, with the record that he's got, the record that he's on, the way he's beaten legends in the past, he will get the job done. Fantastic. And the finish with Spud turning heel left you wanting more. You want to see now how Rockstar Spud is going to react. And for some people, they'll want to know the reasons why. I think I kind of know the reasons why. EC3 was a bastard to him. It's good. The storyline is great. And like I've said before, seriously invested in EC3 versus Matt Hardy. So much more than just seeing the constant with Roman Reigns in the WWE. Great stuff. People, give TNA a chance. So guys, that brings me to the end of my TNA Lockdown review. I'm going to give it a Delzinski approved. There is work to be done, but decent stuff. Well done, TNA. Let me know by the comment section below what you thought of TNA Lockdown, and all that's left to be said is please rate, comment, and subscribe. This is Delzinski signing out.